Hello and welcome everybody to our academic research sessions. We are your co-hosts for the sessions and we would like to introduce ourselves before we get started. So my name is Dr. Kylene Myra. I'm a faculty advisor with the Enactus OC team in the country of Canada.
And welcome. I am Dr. Kathy Cox, the Enactus faculty advisor for City University of Seattle.
So Enactus is the world's largest experiential learning organization, dedicated to developing the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders and social innovators. The Enactus World Cup recognizes and helps to advance the impact of the next generation leaders, as well as the impact on their team projects. Thank you to the Global Faculty Research Network for championing this academic leader symposium and poster presentation at the Enactus World Cup. This is our third year running, and we are very excited this year to see the diversity and the variety of the research topics and presentations across our academic network.
We received 25 academic submissions from South America, North America, and Eurasia. Our 6 finalists are here today to share with us their work. We will have 3 presenters in session 1 and 3 presenters in session 2. Each presentation is 10 minutes and will be followed by a 5-minute Q&A session. Please feel free to submit your questions via chat. And please do so throughout the presentation and not just at the end. Please note this session is recorded and you were prompted to opt in or out prior to joining our symposium. Today, we're hosting 2 academic sessions with 3 presenters. Please join us for session 2, right after the opening ceremony in about an hour. So I'd like to introduce our first presenter, Mr. Cardoso from Brazil, and he'll be talking about social innovation laboratory in higher education from planning to implementing. So Mr. Cardoso, would you like to start? Thanks.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for joining us. My name is Gabriel Cardoso. I'm from Brazil, and I will present our research in progress called Social Innovation Laboratory in Higher Education, from planning to implementing. Okay, here in Brasilia, I'm the coordinator of our programs of entrepreneurship, education, and social innovation at UDF University Center, and I have the honor to be the faculty advisor of our Enactus team. I split this presentation into 3 parts, and we would like to start explaining where we are, right? So we are in Brazil. And Brazil is a country with a lot of inequalities. So in this picture, we could see, for example, 2 neighborhoods that are very close and offering for their citizens different kinds of conditions. In the first, a lot of wealth, in the second, a lot of social issues to be solved. We are located specifically in the city capital of Brazil, a city called Brasilia. Brasilia has one of the highest quality of life in Brazil. Is a very good city to live, but Brasilia is located in a geographical space that we call a federal district. It's something like a state here in Brazil. And this space have a lot of issues close to Brasilia that has a lot of wealthy. And surrounding both spaces, we have another geographical space that we call specifically as surroundings that has more social issues to be tackled, as we will show now for you. In the heart of Brasilia, we have our institution that is UDF University Center, and our students, most of our students live in Federal District, in the surroundings of Federal District, and they come to Brasilia to work during the day and to study at night in our institution. So in this institution, I will show the second part of our research, that is the planning of a social innovation lab that has started with a partnership between UDF University Center and the Ashoka U Commons Latam Cohort 2019 that had the objective to institutionalize the social innovation in 19 Latin American institutions. The result of our work there was the creation of this UP Social UDF, that is a social innovation lab. So this social innovation lab, first we would like to explain what is the concept that we adopt here. Social innovation aims to develop alternative and sustainable solutions to social problems through organizational models that depend on a strong civic engagement and the participation of public and private sector. Using this concept, we developed a general operation. In fact, we planned a general operation of our lab that I would like to explain for you in parts, right? I will start with the center of this process, the blue center, that has three main parts. So the process has three main parts. First, we capture problems and demands around the city, in the surroundings, in the federal district, using partnerships between us and other actors. Second, we organize the supply and demand inside the institution, the UDF, and after that, using a specific methodology from Canada, from Waterloo University, we are trying to tackle social problems and developing social innovation. The first we call something like as pain point. We use external inputs aligned with the SDGs regarding problems of education, healthy, habitation, environmental problems, and so on. So after that, in the second point, we use what we call here as internal input. Our infrastructure, our faculty, our researchers, our students, our entrepreneurial projects, our outreach projects mainly, that I will show next. And of course, an active team is inside this process. After that, combining the pain point from external input and the medication from internal input, we combine them using a methodology trying to address social innovation as an output and as an outcome. As a secondary output, we are offering free learning programs for community and peripheral areas and sharing knowledge with other universities partners, in partnership with other universities. All this process has three parts. So first, we define a hypothesis, learning about it. That is the planning part of this research. Now we are experimenting this planning, building this lab, testing this lab, and of course, measuring the results to understand their viability. And now we have the implementing part of this lab. Of course, we have a problem state because we don't know with the planning what will be the real outcomes and outputs of the planning. So we are asking for ourselves, what are the primate limits and the main potentialities concerning our lab implementation? And during this research, we have this general objective, that is to explore the UDF Social Innovation Lab primary limits and potentialities in its general model of operation. The general model of operation is that I shown before in the second part of the presentation. And we have three specific objectives. That is, first, to test the lab model and the method, the Canadian method, of course, for social innovation, to find the main barriers that must be adjusted for a second implementation phase that will be in 2021, and to investigate the laboratory likely potential to be an agent that promotes social entrepreneurship on campus. our method and procedures. As I told, we are having our research in progress using a multiple case design with an exploratory profile based on qualitative and quantitative elements. In this first phase that is now current in the second semester of 2020, we are having 4 outreach programs that I will show you soon. The data collection will be in 5 intermediate checkpoints that are linked to the 5 main stages of the method. So we had the first data collection last week. We will have more 4 in the semester using 3 kinds of instruments. First, a survey, after a focal group, and an observation specifically in the activities of the professor, the coordinators, the students, and the stakeholders that are suffering the social problem. The data analysis will be in January 2021, based on categories set a priori regarding the lab planned element that I've shown to you. Results will be present in February 2021, and maybe we can show the results in the next World Cup next year. These are the 4 outreach programs. We prefer to keep them in Portuguese to offer you a little bit of our culture, that is our language. So we have the first one, that is Gotas de Amor, something like drops of love, that try to communicate and promote actions that create values, virtues, and wisdom in the university environment. We have the second, that is UDF Sem Fronteiras, something like UDF Without Borders, that try to develop law solutions, innovative law solutions to solve problems. We have the first one, that is Fisiotrata, from physiotherapy program, that try to prevent, heal, and treat some Brazilians with disabilities. And finally, we have our team, Enactus UDF team, that are trying to inspire students to have a better world through entrepreneurial action. So thank you for your attention, and I'm open to any kind of question. Now I have a question. How has Enactus contributed to this work? Oh, as a faculty advisor, we have the support of our students and professors to promote the idea of social entrepreneurship and social innovation on campus. So this culture offers us a base to persuade, to convince the high administration of institution to invest in a lab like that. So the Enactus was essential because Enactus inspire social entrepreneurship, inspire social innovation. So this it is impossible to think about social innovation lab without Enactus at UDF University Center. The second question is, why were those projects selected? Okay, Enactus was selected because I'm the coordinator of the lab and faculty advisor of the Enactus. So I tried to, of course, use Enactus as a second lab, and the other 3 we had a call for submissions. We have here more than 30 projects, outreach projects, and we have a call for submissions. It is important to say that next year we will improve the number of projects, and our main goal with this lab is to have all outreach projects of our institution operating inside the social innovation lab. So this is our main goal with the lab. What is the aim or goals for how the Social Innovation Lab will impact the projects? Okay, the projects, generally speaking, offer social impact, offer some kind of good solutions, but we are trying to offer real social innovation. So this is our main goal, to offer, instead of social impact, social innovation. And we would like to measure the outcomes and the outputs using a specific impact measurement tool during this process. So we try to evolve to social projects, to social innovation, really innovation projects. What is the level of involvement by local private business? This is very hard. We have a lot of support from government. We have a lot of support from civil society, but we are in Brasilia, and you need to know that Brasilia is the capital of Brazil, and our culture is totally related to public economy, to public sector. So we have to convince, we have to persuade the private sector. Considering the three sectors is the hardest to involve, to persuade, and to create, to develop partnerships. But we have a huge partnership between us and public sector, and between us and civil society. Besides the results from this amazing work, thank you. What is the main legacy you want to leave to the university entrepreneurship environment? Oh, this is a very good question. I think that we are living a wonderful legacy. We have two kinds of universities, considering the university that we have now, and its entrepreneurial culture, and the university that we had 5 years ago. So my dream is my dream is to offer for all of our 16,000 students. We have 16,000 students in 36 undergraduate programs. My dream is to offer them the possibility to choose the pathway to be a social entrepreneur. They can choose other pathway. It's okay for me, but they have to have the opportunity to follow the social entrepreneurship pathway. This is my dream and the legs that I would like to leave. Last question. It is easy to get problems pain from external sources? No. This is one of our toughest challenges, because in each kind of public we have to have an approach, and you know, finalists. So regarding civil society, we have an approach. Regarding government, we have other approach. So they have to trust in university, not only as a provider of knowledge. We are trying to do that through our methodology. We are trying to decentralizing the knowledge, decentralizing the wisdom to co-create solutions. This is one of our principles in this process. So we break this barrier and offer an candidate university as a partner. And after this, we build some of partnerships, but is a tough challenge. Can you?
Okay, well, I think that wraps up everything. I know the time has gone fast. Thank you very much, Mr. Cardoso, for your presentation. And by the sounds of it, you had lots of really interesting questions. And we would just want to remind everybody that you will have access to all the presentations later on, available on demand. So if you'd like to review them again, or you missed some of them from another session, please make sure to check them out. So again, thank you very much, Mr. Cardoso. Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, and this is Dr. Bhatia from India, and she will be telling us about her research project, which is Personal Hygiene in Women, Challenges and Opportunities, a case study of India. And just a reminder again to post your questions as they come to you throughout the presentation, and then we'll have about a 5-minute Q&A following Dr. Patia's presentation. I'll now move it over to yourself.
Thank you. I'm sharing my screen. All right. So, hello everyone, and thank you, Enactus, for giving us this opportunity. I'm here to present my research on personal hygiene in women, challenges and opportunities, a case study of India. I'm Dr. Asha Bhatia, the faculty advisor at the Universal Business School, Mumbai. My co-authors are Dr. Seema Kapoor from Punjab University and Dr. Anuja Mathur from the University of Delhi. Now, this is a collaborative research project, and it's an ongoing project. To introduce our topic, to understand what is the magnanimity of how big is the problem. We say India has 355 million women in the age of menstruating, and only 48% of adolescent girls are aware of periods before the onset, and just 12% have access to sanitary napkins. Another study also says that less than 50% of women in rural parts use hygienic forms of menstrual protection. And this leads to a lot of reproductive diseases, almost 70% of the diseases. And of course, it has impact on financial health and financial and health problems. Now, the main problems statement here is that as we found that there's a huge population of women in this age, this problem is more enhanced for girls and women of the economically disadvantaged sections. And why is this? This is due to the lack of education, parental guidance, there is gender inequality, disbeliefs, myths, taboos. And this has resulted in the women, using unhygienic practices. The objective of our study is to understand the perception and approach of women towards the different types of feminine hygiene products that are available, and also to understand how aware are they about menstrual hygiene. Now, there are many challenges in this issue, and this we have discovered by going through a lot of literature review. Dhingra talks about the Indian society, which is enclosed in a lot of traditions, myths, and misconceptions about menstruation issues. There's significant differences in the urban and rural adolescent girls in terms of the knowledge and perception that they have. And interestingly, most of the girls, they rely on the information that is shared by their friends. Now, there's also an interesting study which says that millions of girls in developing countries, they miss about 20% of their studies because they don't have hygiene. They don't have access to hygiene products. And all this shows the gaps and how important the study is. The research methodology, basically we went through a lot of secondary research, and we also did some primary research. So a cross-sectional study was carried out during June 2020 in an urban area, upcoming urban area in Janta Colony, Naigaon district of Mohali. There was a pre-tested semi-structured questionnaire, and the sample size we took was huge, 3,721 samples. These questionnaires were circulated throughout this area and to the age group of women who are 17 to 60 years. And basically, descriptive statistics has been used for our study. And there are three hypotheses that our study tries to look at. The first one is the awareness for female hygiene products. Does it lead And is it linked to the increasing age of women? Hypothesis 2 talks about the income class of women, which determines the hygiene product used. And hypothesis 3 talks about creating awareness. Does it lead to greater acceptance of sanitary napkins? Our research, now we say every research must contribute to some practical, it must have a practical implication, and it also must contribute to theory building. So the theory that we have taken here, the theoretical model we have taken, is participatory action research. Now this talks about using participation, action, and research. So participation is from the health workers, from the community itself. The action is the awareness projects that we carried out, the programs that we carried out, and the research output will be in terms of more information, knowledge, and the documentation that we do. So for the action, we did creating awareness. We did projects like there were introductory or awareness programs. Rise Women, Be Period Positive is what we did. Now this will also lead to a social entrepreneurship model. We're training women from rural households for producing sanitary napkins using all the local material available. And the participation, now we're talking about participatory action research using all the stakeholders like the government, health workers, NGOs, social entrepreneurs, enactors, students, of course, and the local members of the community. Now the data analysis, it was descriptive analysis, which showed that the age-wise analysis talked about the population sample ranging between 25 to 33 recorded the highest stakes for the use of sanitary napkins. And the income-wise analysis showed that the income range from 7,100 to 10,000 has shown the most, they're using the hygiene products most often. And this also showed that the count of women who are using sanitary napkins is almost, it's the maximum 71%, count of cotton gauze and count of cloth is lower. Now the conclusions that we come to is that it is very important to create awareness regarding menstrual hygiene that will help in breaking taboos, barriers, and effective menstrual hygiene management intervention is very important in terms of there are two aspects to it. One is the hardware intervention through improved water, sanitation, and health facilities. And there's software interventions where you create awareness and knowledge about menstruation and management. And the community participation is very important because they are very important stakeholders. Now, for this problem, the solution that we find is a holistic intervention program with all the stakeholders involved. Like I talked about participatory action research, where all the stakeholders, whether it's government, whether it is the civil society, whether it is the primary health centers, enactors, students, the community, everyone. Now, there are certain limitations that we have in this research. This is, I call it a pilot project, but though the sample size has been quite big, this was carried out in the state of Punjab. And we need to do some extrapolation of these findings and get some data from the other country, across the country. We're planning to do it for Mumbai and Delhi as well, but due to the COVID situation, this project got a bit delayed. Now, the data collected here is quantitative. There's also a requirement to collect qualitative, to do some qualitative research. A longitudinal study is required to understand the impact of the government schemes. There are a lot of government schemes which have come up now in India, and incentives for menstrual hygiene management. Are they reaching the beneficiaries, and how effective are they? The experience of health workers, the NGOs, the educationists, researchers, and of course also the social entrepreneurs, the local community is very important for designing a holistic solution where the beneficiaries also they take the ownership of the project. The literature cited here is from various literature. We went through a lot of secondary research, and here is all the literature that we have cited for our research. And to end it, thank you so very much. We would like to thank our NGOs, our partnering NGOs, RISE, Realistic Innovation Solutions for Empowerment of Women, and the Open Eyes Foundation. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to collect this data. So I would like to end saying that menstruation is not a problem. Poor menstrual hygiene is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhatia, and for really bringing to light such an important social issue and showing the extensive research you've done so far on the pilot program. I'd like to start off with a question for you. You talked about how the Enactus students were involved. Could you maybe give us a little bit more detail about their role and maybe something that they learned either about the issue or about themselves through this project that they worked on?
Thank you for the question. Now, the Enactus students, they actually came up with this idea, with this project. And they found that this was a burning issue and there was a lot of work that they could do. And when they went, when they researched further, they were appalled at the situation that the women are facing. And we worked with them under our guidance. We prepared the questionnaire, reached out to the beneficiaries, the community. They were talking to the health workers, to the NGOs. They identified NGOs. They've also identified social entrepreneurs who are working in this. And so there is a lot of work, understanding of social entrepreneurship that has come through because of this project. The problems and also the solutions that they're looking at. So we started projects in this area.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you've had lots of diverse stakeholders involved. You talked about this kind of holistic intervention and kind of the social entrepreneurial model. I was wondering what contributions have social entrepreneurs contributed, and what may be one of the solutions that are socially entrepreneurial to kind of help support them moving forward?
So there's some social entrepreneurs already working in this area, like Akar Innovations, you have Jayashree Industries, and our students have been in talks with them. So they're trying to procure those eco-friendly, biodegradable, and economic, caustic products so that they can distribute it to the women who are in need. And maybe they're also looking at manufacturing, replicating the social entrepreneurship model in these areas where we're working, because we are working in different areas of India. With this a collaborative project, so you can understand the impact that it can make from Punjab to Delhi to Mumbai. There are already 3 centers where we're setting it up, and then we can expand to the others also. Maybe we can get the other Enactus teams from India to collaborate and work on this.
Excellent. And there's a question that's come in around, I'm thinking about the diverse stakeholders. How do you help boys and young men to support your initiative?
You'll be surprised that the leaders of this project are boys. The project leaders, and we were quite surprised when they came up and they talked so openly about the problems that the girls are facing. And when we had these discussions, there is nothing about gender. They are equally worried about the problem, and that's something really nice to see. So I think somewhere that psychological barrier also we are breaking. We're able to break that and bring in more gender equality.
That's excellent. Excellent. And so another question around Enactus was, do you have any advice for new project leaders and Enactus members? So perhaps pertaining to starting a new project, something like this that you could pass on from your experience working on this project. And this will be our final question.
So any project, I think it should start with a need. You have to understand the need. There has to be a need analysis you do with the community. And then you work on the project. It's not something that because you like this project and someone else is doing it, so you want to implement it. There has to be a particular need for that community for this project. And if you can understand that, then probably, and you can also research more on what is what are the other teams or what is happening around the world to address this need and find a local solution to it. And it's very important to get the community involved, for them to take the ownership, so that once you move on, you hand it over to the community. Once this batch of student moves on, hands it over to the next batch of students. So it should be an ongoing thing, an ongoing process.
Really for long-term sustainability of the project.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhatia, for presenting your project and for showing how your NASTIS team has been involved with the implementation.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. We'll now bring Dr. Cox on, and she will introduce our next and final presenter for this session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Myra. It's been very interesting this morning. At least it's morning for me. Next, we have Professors Guimarães and Alves from Brazil. They're going to be talking about a publication of articles and experience reports in ENB 2020, Strategy for Academic Learning. Excited to hear your presentation.
Yeah, you share the video, yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Professor Alexandre Guimarães, and together Professor Laís Alves, we are presenting this article that we wrote before made these actions described here. This is me and Professor Laís Alves, and we are from Brazil, from the Federal Center of Technological Education. And we belong to the team Enactus, the oldest active team at Enactus Brazil. We belong to Enactus Brazil that we have more than 120 universities in action in Brazil. We won the national championship 3 times. We have a tradition to participate in the competitions. And we bring here an article that we used to teaching our students how to make publications of articles and experience reports, because we have since 2016 a new event inside the championship that is a symposium inside our biggest event. And we never made publications that expressive number of publications that we want to describe our actions. And this year we made the event in totally virtual because the coronavirus, and it's changed our idea to do this action. We have the numbers of students per course. It's more in the administration, environment engineering, and other courses. And we want to develop that work to make the capacitation with the students to learning how to do the articles, to publish the art, learn how they can do this practice. And we made a strategy with training and organization. We made a training with 2 hours training developed by me and Professor Laís Alves. The training consists of basic structure of an article, following standard, and how to consult the base of journals. Because the students are in the beginning of the course, in the middle of the course, and they only have discontact with these structures of articles and standards and articles in the finish of the course. And it was a learning to them. And organization, we meeting has held with leaders of areas and projects to check the subjects that would be development in articles we developed 14 articles. We divide the articles to 7 advising professors that we have inside the team, the faculty advisors of the team. And we have almost 50 members in the team, but 29 participate at least at one article. It's a way to put them to write and search about the theoretical reference, and it was important to them. That was the number of articles, 14 articles. They are all approved. There's a distribution of area and project. We have 3 to women resources actions, 3 to a project IARA, 2 about the events that market made to publish the projects, 2 from Project Mandala, 2 from Project Gera, 1 to an action of financial administrative, and 1 to the newest project, Aurora. And we can see how was the historical participation in the events. In 2016, we have 47 articles approved by all the event, 39 approved for poster, and only 1 approved for article or reports. In 2017, we had 69 approved articles, 10 to poster, and only 1 approved, and this is was approved to poster. In 2018 was worse to us because we, in 126 approved articles, 50 was poster, 6 in the oral presentation, and none approved or poster or anything. You don't send any article. Last year was a little different because we had 150 approved, 20 from poster, and 4 to oral presentation. We only approved 4. Was a poor number, and we have to change this idea to the team. And this year, we have another result with 108 approved and approved for poster, 4 oral presentation. We had 14 approved and to poster, and 2 of these was approved for oral presentation. We have 4 invites to a presentation, oral presentation. We had 2. It's an important number to us, and it was a beginning of this learning and this idea to put our students to make articles and experience reports, and we waiting the next year, loading to the next year. The considerations with the learning and training of more than half of the team in preparation of academic articles, and the interest in this subject was verified with the results of the publications achieved and the above expected success with 2 oral presentations. We don't expect these 2 oral presentations, but it was very good to the students, to us, to have this conquest. The same process will be applied in the next cycle for the continuity of this teaching and dissemination practice in the academic environment of the applications made by the team in their projects, events, and routine in the areas. It's a way to describe what they do in the cycle. They have the contact with the academic language, and it is very important to us to make this training here this year to the other cycles. Questions? And thank you. Our contact and the team contact.
Oh, thank you so much, Professor Zahn. Your very exciting and presentation here. So please put your questions in the chat and we will ask the questions. So one question that has come in, are the articles published in peer-reviewed journals?
Sorry, wait a minute.
Where are the articles published?
Initially, they are published in the National Symposium that Enactus Brazil does every year as a first step. And then we send it for other journal. We call them extension journals, that are journals that address directly the community. So we can address the social entrepreneurship and the innovation that we have in our projects. But that's like a second stage. Our article, we talked about how we put the students to work on doing works for the symposium, the next symposium in Brazil, to stimulate them to publish in the symposium specifically.
Great. So how do the students get selected to participate in this research and publishing?
Well, what you talk like?
Okay, it's voluntary. They can choose to participate or not. We just we talk to the leaders of each project and come up with the ideas of how the articles, which articles are going to be published, and we open for the Enactus members to see who wants to participate with us.
Yeah, we open the training to all the members, and some choose to participate in the 2090 in the total. Some of them in more than one article, but 2090 was in all the articles. There's one at least at one article.
Do they get any credit or any class credit for participating in this article project?
Yeah, each student they have to have specific hours of extracurricular activities, and this counts as this type of activities for them.
So how do you feel that this article writing has actually impacted your projects?
Well, I think they learn how to organization and have more control of the informations to make it in the next cycle another research. Maybe it happened then to organization, how to make this control. Yes, maybe to help them to do that. What do you think, Alaisa?
Yeah, I think that we stimulate them to put on the paper and actually have a planning for the next cycle, for example, and actually see all the results of this cycle specifically, and how it would we go to the next year. How can we progress with that project, or if the project is over, so we can start a new one. I think the best contribution would be the planning for the students.
Yeah, and it helps them to choose a subject to the final project. They need to graduation a final project. They need to write a presentation, a final project. It helps them to do that because they have an article. They can study more about the subject they choose, and help them in the final project, the course.
Oh, that's great. So the last question, what could Enactus Global do better to support and nurture collaboration and teamwork?
Well, I think we have a very difficult time with some of the students because of the English language and writing in English. That I think that's our biggest obstacle right now, bringing students to the Enactus Global. So, right, we are kind of doing small steps. As you can see, we do better each year. So the first step was to to a better participation in Enactus Brazil in Portuguese. So now we're working on having the students that we know that can bring contributions in English to participate with us next year in the Enactus Global.
Our next step.
Yeah.
Bring more articles to the national and the global. It's in our planning.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you've done, and it's been impressive on the number of articles that you've been able to do and see the impact of your projects. I think it's a really interesting concept. So thank you for bringing your research here. So Dr. Myron, do you want to finish this up for us?
Sounds good. So as Dr. Cox and myself, and I'm sure all of you agree, we want to thank all the presenters for our first session. What a fantastic way to start off the Academic Research Symposium, such a diverse range of projects, and then really neat ways that your Enactus teams are being involved, learning from and developing from this applied research. So, you know, we're very excited to see this component grow and develop through the Enactus network. I just want to remind people there is a community section on the Bizibo site, and you can search for people that have presented if you would like to follow up with them directly. So make sure to check that out. If any of the research interests you, you might want to learn more about it or see how you might apply it to your own context. And as Dr. Cox mentioned, when we first started, we're going to wrap up the session, and then there will be opening ceremonies, which would be very exciting for everyone to attend. And then in approximately an hour, we will have our second Academic Research Symposium with our final three presenters. So we really hope that you come back and join us, bring back your questions, and then also a reminder that tomorrow there's the poster presentations. And there's even more researchers, including the ones that presented today, but a number of other researchers across the network that will be providing their posters. So we would hope you attend that as well. So that will wrap up our first session, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the World Cup event.